Good evening, welcome all of you, Bande Matram. This evening we are going to discuss a great topic that is on Nabodha Bhakti, the type of devotion, 9 types of devotion, that's what we are going to concentrate upon. Exclusively, we are going to stress upon a great topic that is on devotion or Bhakti. So, it will be a great experience. Of course, initially we have discussed in various formats in different times and different styles, different formats in different names. We have discussed this topic, bhakti or devotion. Now itself we will have a beautiful comparison. At least we will go from Treta Yuga, the time of Rama, till through time of that the Dwapar Yuga, through time of Sri Krishna, and we will reach the present time, the scenario which is actually exclusively dominated by Mother and Sri Aurobindo. So the flow of love, flow of devotion, we will start from Sri Ram, and it will be through Sri Krishna we will reach Sri Aurobindo. It is the of course object of this discussion for this evening. We know Sri Aurobindo categorically stresses what really this devotion is meant. Devotion, as per Sri Aurobindo's one single line, Sri Aurobindo quotes, devotion is utterly not fulfilled till it becomes action and knowledge. So devotion, it is nothing, not entirely the things which is emerging out of the heart or vitality. Things are there for the completion of this devotion. There is a need of something more, that is thought and action. Thought exclusively, it is the process of the mind, mental process, and action, that is the physical process. So this devotion can utterly be completed through mind, life, and the body. Of course, it will go another step, that is a psychic devotion that will come after this 3 stages. So this devotion we are going to stress upon from will quote in various ways regarding this devotion and all. So initially we are going to quote the thing that has been the Navadha Bhakti, that has been described beautifully by during this Tretaya Yuga. We can go to that Savari. In that story we have known Savari, ignorant, illiterate, nothing, knows nothing, but she has devotion. From the Guru, she has been advised, she has been explained, she knows, she is clear that the Lord will come to the ashram one day. So she is preparing, keeping sweet fruits, that all these things for the Lord. Lord will come, and he has to serve the fruits and all. Kodi, that of course that of everything she is preparing. Of course, the Lord will come to the ashram, so this is jungle, nothing, like no light, nothing, and moreover Lord is moving without any shoe. So there is actually thorns. The road is actually not that much actually properly. This road is not constructed, not properly maintained. So I keep him almost every time she is busy in preparing the route, how the Lord will come. She is preparing also. That bhakti is there. So when there is a great meeting between Sabari and the Lord Rama, in the presence of course Lakshman. So that time really this Sabari is feeling it is a great moment. So this touch, this process, this phenomenon, this darshan, it is brings a great thing. So the Lord is pleased with the devotion of Savari. So finally, the Lord offers Navadha Bhakti. That's a great thing that has been bestowed, that has been gifted by the Lord to the Sabari. That's what we are going to stress upon, little bit discuss little bit, that Navadha Bhakti, 9 types of devotion. That's what the initial is Satsanga, where only the discussion of the truth takes place. People, all these sadhakas, they culminate around something. They gather somewhere, and of course they discuss the truth. That is number one, satsanga. Number two, you have to listen the while concentrating upon the second phase. You must somebody must listen to the guna gatha, everything talks His greatness of the Lord being concentrated. Concentratedly, you have to listen the Lord's function, performance, everything is story is tell. Number three, so seva service. We have to be devoted at the feet of the Guru. That is what the without any ego, there is no place for ego. That is number three. Number four, gunagana. You have to glorify, magnify. You have to, of course, signify the divine's greatness, magnanimity. His actually all these things. This gunagana. Now, next one, number five is actually mantra japa. You know, japa has a direct effect on the body. So this japa, as Narad was doing, actually she was trying to spread forth the significant, the spiritual truth. So Narayana, 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 like this. So mantra japa you have to do mantra that the really what this mantra is meant to, you know, that Gayatri mantra we see Om Bhur Bhuvassu Tat Savitu Varanyam Bharga Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yana Prachodayat. Like this we are keep chanting the mantra. In also integral yoga we keep chanting the mantra. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Arvindaya. Like this, so many mantra. It's the definition of mantra is that Manam Trayate iti. Actually, the thing that the recitation which actually shapes the mind. So with that, this mantra, it actually this comes, it touches from the, it actually enters through the ear, it touches the brain, from the brain through different chakras. It is actually coming to and touching the kundalini, that serpent who is actually sleeping, and it has to be awakened. Once this kundalini of the sleeping snake is actually it awakens, then once again from in the reverse order, this mantra will work from the lowest the Guhya chakra till the brain. It will come touching all these chakras. So like this mantra. Next one is number six. You have to really get rid of other things. You must all the works and all from that you have to take rest, and you will be only find all the santhas, all the sadhus. They look like the God. Everything is divine. The sadhu must be recognized as the divine, and you must get rid of all these actions and all. This is only to release, to bring one out. Number seven, next one is actually just imagine what we have to do. This mind, just think all this everything, this sadhu santha, all these santhas, they are something greater than or equal or something they get being, they possess a bigger sadhana, and of course they are greater than this God, what this Lord is explaining. And then actually what you have to do regularly, you have to do the prayer, and you have to release yourself out of it. Number eight, actually it is actually just think, imagine, get satisfaction. What do you do, and the thing, and with that thing get satisfied. And another is that there is actually sajjanam. You have to keep mind in the towards the good mind entirely. We have to concentrate upon the God and the Lord, everything that needs to be done. And number eight, of course, it is a don't see fault in others, and you find the self satisfaction with the presence of the divine. Everything is done for the divine. And and finally we are coming, so surrender, that is coming, the surrender your work at the divine's feet, everything, that don't expect any result, don't expect anything, so that the everything will come to you in the process of time. So again, finally we'll see there must not be any ego, any swabhiman or abhiman, or any mind yours, like this feeling must not be there. So your lifestyle, your science of living, your art of living, your style of living, everything will be very simple and dedicated towards the God. That is what the most requirement of the time. And then we have seen that in Gita, of course, in 12th chapter 12, we have seen, we have of course analyzed Sri Aurobindo, that is Bhakti Yoga. Sri Krishna has already discussed and of course explained beautifully. The man who actually, the being who never gets delighted, who never gets anger, who never actually lament, who has no desire, actually who is all beyond all this happiness and agony, good or bad. Actually, this man is much more faithful. I like those people very much. He is fond. I am fond of them. And some people actually who is actually equivalent, who was actually unbalanced in the friendship, even the enmity, actually in the man and apaman, insult and of course prestige, he is beyond that one. Any adversity or any anukula and pratikul, adversity and of course in the favorability, pleasure and the pain, on everything, who is staying beyond, who is actually is having without staying without desire, non staying untouched, who is actually clearly above all. She is who sees everything without getting disturbed or getting troubled, and moreover, who is equanimous in the stuti, of course, in the praise, and of course, insult, and who is actually every time, each time, who is satisfied whatever he is getting and whatever is given, he feels it is been given by the God, and moreover, no attachment is there towards the body or towards his living, towards his center of style of living or center of staying. Everything has been organized and everything has been given by the God. Without God, nothing can be done. This man who is actually every all the time actually like this leaf of the lotus, staying amid the water on the water, but water is not touching. He is actually it is he is completely out of this touch of the water. Like this, he is this man. This being is actually favorable, and he is the great bhakta, so-called bhakta. But actually, again, Sri Krishna explains who is actually is lovable, and actually the bhakta devotees who are actually all they have felt the only object or the only center of who are living is the divine, and these people they are actually packed with religion dharma maya, that actually they follow and take everything like a nectar, and these nectarous people who are living inside that one, these phenomenon and these ideology and these style, they are much more favorable and much more interesting. I like them, they are fond of, I am fond of them. So, Navada Bhakti, we have seen Savari and Rama. Here also, Sri Krishna and Arjuna in the Gita we have seen. Now itself we will go a little bit ahead with Mother and Sri Aurobindo. We will find, of course, couple of definitions from the Mother on devotion. Finally, Mother, this is a integral yoga, where all the integral yoga, it actually contains all. Karma yoga, Jnana yoga, Bhakti yoga, Sankhya yoga, Hatha yoga, everything is there. It includes all. Mother course, a devotion that keeps concentrated and silent. A devotion that keeps concentrated and silent in the depths of the heart, but manifests in acts of service and obedience. A devotion, that definition of devotion, that keeps concentrated and silent in the depths of the heart. Concentrated and silent in the depths of the heart, number one. But again, manifests in acts of service and obedience. That is what devotion is. More, this devotion is more powerful, more true, and more divine than the outward showing and weeping devotion. Because we really, what we do, we show, we really weep, and we express this devotion, but actually everything is beyond them. So this is this powerful, this actually service and obedience, the concentration in the heart, depths of the heart, it is more powerful, more true, more divine, and more showing than this any showing and weeping devotion. Again, sincere devotion is much more effective than Ganga Jal, than the Ganges water. So sincere devotion, Sri Aurobindo quotes here beautifully. Again, of course, it is going for this thing. Dried heart is not the favorable in the yogic path, Sri Aurobindo has quoted. Emotion is a good element in yoga, but emotional desire becomes easily a cause of perturbation and desire. Turn your emotion towards the divine, aspire, that's what the requirement of the time. So this great devotion can come. Thank you.